The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency says hackers in the SolarWinds breach may have used password spraying or unsecured administrator credentials to get into government systems. The investigation is expected to continue under the Biden administration. Ron Marks is president of ZPN National Security and Cyber Strategies, a former CIA official and former intelligence advisor to two Senate Majority Leaders. Thanks for being here, Ron. What's the latest that we know on the SolarWinds attack?
Oh, thanks. Delighted to be here. As near as I can tell, it's pretty much what you said. They managed to get through three separate layers of security and essentially get inside what we thought was a fairly protective line. I'm reminded a little bit of that great mid-20th century philosopher Charlie Brown talking about losing a baseball game. It's an ice cream cone on the sidewalk. It's too late to do anything about it. Except to look at it and realize that you made a big mistake. In this case, I think we really need to think carefully about the structure. Having been around intelligence failures now since 1983, there are always intelligence failures and policy successes. One of the issues in 9/11 and one of the issues in WMD in Iraq was the idea of the structure and the organization that was trying to deal with the problem. And I think at this point, this is a good indication of the kinds of problems that we're having. The Russians, and it was the Russians, essentially, if you use the analogy of a house, got in a locked door, got beyond the bolt of the door, got beyond the alarm system in the door in the house, and basically wandered through our house, rifled our drawers, took our information, now know who we're dealing with and what their information is. And they got out the back door, and by the time they did, we just started to catch on. And that is not a system that sustains itself, and it's not something we can continue to do.
As we learn that, what do you think is the appropriate response from the executive branch, from Capitol Hill? Are we getting a better idea of what that should be?
Yeah, I think it needs to be measured. I know that one of the responses in this town oftentimes is either fear and loathing, which is some form of public opprobrium, or alternatively, holding a congressional committee. We've got the Cyber Solarium Commission that had received some additional funding underneath of the most recent NDAA. Let's use that mechanism. Let's get those people back in to take a look at this situation quickly. We're about ready to put another, I think, $8-9 billion into the federal IT system. That seems to be what the Biden administration wishes to do in this upcoming budget. Let's get in there. Let's find out what's going on, and let's correct it. I don't think we need any public hangings on this. I really don't want to go through that nonsense again. This is a big problem. We got to get it fixed, and we got to get it fixed now.
What do you think the Biden administration might mean for both the investigation and the response?
Well, they've actually brought a pretty good group of people in. I mean, you can run the list, and Rob Joyce has been brought back up to NSA, and Neuberger is handling NSC at this point. There's been a State Department reestablished, a State Department of Cyber group reestablished. You've got even guys like Dave Cohen out at CIA, who are experienced guys from the Treasury dealing with Bitcoin, blockchain issues, et cetera. So you have the experienced people there, plus whoever becomes the national cyber director. These are people who are experienced in the private sector and in the public sector. I think they bring a lot to the game at this point. And I also think they realize the seriousness of this. And I'm sure the Biden administration will find themselves working rather easily with Angus King and others within that National Cyber Commission, because the fact of the matter is that that's the place to go now. And I think those are the people who will bring the best knowledge, the best insight, and the best solutions to the fore.
Beyond this attack, let's talk a little bit more about that Biden cyber team that you're introducing. What do you think will make it different, perhaps, than the Trump administration cyber team?
Well, I think there were some disconnects, and a lot of it has to do with the structure again. Cyber, as you know, is all over the place. You've got DHS involved, you've got Commerce involved, you've got the intelligence community involved, you've got the military involved, and a myriad of other players. And the central coordinating mechanism, either at the National Security Council level or outside in the civilian sector, just wasn't there. And it needs to be there. This is a whole of government issue. This is a whole society issue. And whatever you want to say about the public sector, or the private sector rather, having 80-90% of this, it's not their job to necessarily protect anybody but themselves. It's up to government to do that. We have to be coordinated to do that. We haven't been in the Trump administration. And I believe, thanks to that national cyber director and some of the efforts that have been put forward in state and elsewhere, I think we've got a shot at it this time. Not saying that, there's perfection here, but at least we have a shot at it this time.
Sure. When you're also thinking about this team, what do you think are the top priorities? How will they measure success?
Well, I think the first top priority, and I know it sounds a little bit funny, is let's not have this happen again. We simply can't afford to keep doing this. This is the third or fourth major break-in of one form or another, if you include OPM and some of the other things in the DoD. We've got programs that are coming into place right now, like CMMC, that will make some of the DoD industrial base responsible for insider threat. If you can show coordination, which we have not had, again, we talked about this just before with the National Cyber Director. I keep leaning on that because I think that's a key element of this. I also think carefully monitoring the spending. If we are going to spend another $9 billion on IT modernization, then we really need to look at the security aspect of this thing carefully and see how it's being invested, because so far it would indicate that, again, the underlying assumptions that we're using going in to protect our systems simply aren't working.
Thanks so much, Ron.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.